So we thought we'd do a bit of a video for everybody to kind of get up to date with who Legacy is during this launch week, and we thought we'd talk about, I thought we could sort of talk about the early days and how it all started, and then where you fit into the picture and how it's just gone chaos since then. I thought that would be a good thing to kind of go through, because I think lots of people might know us individually in the business world for what we used to do, and perhaps people don't realise the growth and development that's happened over the last sort of 12 months.
What's behind us now?
The madness. That is the Legacy team. So starting at the beginning, so where were you 2012 when I started my Legacy? What were you photographer?
Yeah, photography. And that was my second operation. Yeah.
Wow. So that was just after your diagnosis?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, do you want to share a little bit about that point in your life?
So 2011 I was diagnosed with bowel cancer, which then we discovered that I've got a genetic mutation. So
that's something we have in common.
Yeah.
We both have genetic mutations. We're literally X-Men.
I turned blue after 12. So I've got an ileostomy, so I've got a bag, and also then I've got a condition which is referred to as FAP, which just means I develop polyps for fun.
Which then can turn cancerous.
Yeah, which
they did.
Well, yeah. So, and there is actually a medical paper written about my story.
Why wouldn't there be?
Yeah.
Of
Famous
course, Nick Morris has to have a written academic paper about him. Of course he does.
So go back to 2012, for me really was quite not so much a low point, because the low point was say 2010 when I was really ill, didn't know what the problems were, and then 2011 we discovered, I had my first op, then I had my second op, so yeah, I literally had 6 months off in 2012, so when you were busy I was laid on my back watching TV.
Yeah, so in 2012 I'm just trying to think where I was. So I had a member of staff, I had a senior member of staff, and then I had 4 actual staff members at the time. So I had 9 companies then, all around. Sounds about right for me, doesn't it? Yeah. But then I think back in those days I was very naive about business. So it got to the point where, because I built all these businesses really quickly, they were all around the gift industry, take it on, and even back then I had the idea that I wanted to work with people who'd never worked, people who came from disadvantaged backgrounds, but I didn't have a Russell Bradley to be able to manage those people, so I was managing them, and I'm not a very good HR manager because I'm an entrepreneur. So I started my Legacy in 2012 because by this point, with the 9 companies, I'd won awards which were more about my disability and my story than my amazing business genius. That was kind of a little side point that everybody was missing. Yeah. But all my awards were around my achievement because of my disability. So people were coming to me and saying, oh my gosh, you've built 9 businesses, you've won awards, will you teach me how to run my own business? And it was the same time as the Olympics in London. So I decided that I was going to leave a lasting legacy of training up new business owners and helping them get beyond their barriers, which is ironic because even today now, fast forward 7 years, it's exactly what we're still doing. Yeah. So fast forward then through that into 2013. At this point, I had taken on 9 staff, all from disadvantaged backgrounds who had never worked before, and they caused me to have a nervous breakdown. So I decided on my 33rd birthday that I'd had enough and I didn't want to be in business anymore with staff. So I sold the 9 companies and I kept my legacy. Fast forward then, because it's always about sickness and illness and disability in my life. It seems to.
I know, but
they seem to be catalysts in the journey. Fast forward to 2016, and I just started to recover from sepsis, and I decided that I no longer wanted to just coach business owners, but I actually wanted to really focus on social impact. So then we rebranded into what is now Legacy International Group.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I literally just coached business owners that had social barriers or wanted to build businesses that had social impact. Then we'll fast forward so that was ticking along quite nicely till 2018. and
What
the
is
coffee.
Yeah.
So no surprise that this video has got coffee in it, because it's kind of a fundamental element of how this story began.
It had to, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
there should be a third cup, but...
yeah. So 2018, you were based at a business hub.
Yeah, I was at Ice in Caerphilly.
And a colleague of mine was also based there.
Brian was backing up to my back in a sense, because it was a collaboration sort of hub.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And first impressions was, in walked this really tall bloke, had a bit of a swagger about him, and
a bright shirt.
and a bright shirt, yeah, which, yeah, you're known for your bright shirts, it's a bit of your brand. Have you got any orange shirts, company branding?
I've got my favourite one until I wore it out. Had a nice orange trim to it.
We definitely need to get you an orange shirt.
Yeah.
Definitely. We need to put you on brand.
I've got an orange jumper.
Okay. So then we met because Bri thought that we might have something in common, because at the time you were doing 3D imaging.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
And the 3D imaging, for me, I wanted to push down the disabled route because of how much information it can provide somebody, whether they're in a wheelchair or if they're autistic, they can just get familiarity with the environment. So yeah, so that's where.
So that was where the connection was.
Brian and I started, and then.
So it was meant to be a 1 hour coffee appointment.
Yeah.
And we didn't come up for it until you had to leave for the school run to pick up Charlie.
Yeah. So back then we would have been, 2:10. So we met at 10 o'clock and finished at 2:10.
Yeah. And I think we just realised we were both on the same page, had a lot of drive, a lot of ambition around making the changes around disability. So I know I always say that, you know, I'd avoided really being the cliche of disabled businesswoman, runs disabled business or disabled organisation. But then having had those conversations and realising that actually, because of the conditions we have, because of what we've lived with and gone through, actually we had a lot of credibility that was powerful.
Yeah, but if you think back, really, when we started talking, the idea was you're going to carry on with your business mentoring, and I would sort of look at what avenues I can take us in the way of disability. But I did say to you, you watch, within 3 to 4 months, you won't want to know your business mentoring, you'll be fully immersed in disability. And was I correct?
You were correct.
Right.
Which then, I suppose Legacy then took a bit of a detour for a couple of months, didn't it? Because everything was disability focused, and we kind of lost our whole identity around being a social impact organisation. We were really, because I think all the work that we were doing, people were seeing us as credible. We weren't having to prove ourselves in the industry because we had these conditions that we lived with. We'd faced those barriers that we were talking about. We had all of that experience. We were so credible that everyone wanted to have a conversation with us. Yeah. So we had no choice really but to focus on that. So we almost then came now, during this launch week, we've come full circle.
Well, we have, but I suppose really what we've done now, we've gone wider. Because you think back to Measure the Mountain.
Which was a year ago now.
September the 24th, it was the week of the 24th, where the two of us were very fortunate to sit on the jury for the Social Services and Wellbeing Wales Act 2016.
Wow! It's only taken you a year.
Yeah, it's only because I've just done some writing now that I actually thought, right, let's have a look at what the proper title was.
I've never seen that act called so many things in my entire life. I've never had an act that has been called so many different things. It's brilliant.
I think that week we found 1 or 2 swear words for that act as well. But we were fortunate to be 2 of 14 persons to represent Wales.
Yeah.
We applied individually with our own individual companies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still managed to get
both got chosen.
Yeah.
Put together and then separated because we were being too disruptive with our comments and eye rolling.
And so they put Karen and Charlotte in between us, who were just as bad as us. So
we've now become board members.
Yeah, so the rest is history. But what being on that jury did, it opened our eyes to the social care, the social services side of
social care, whereas we'd been literally focused on the health side of things and the physical impairment side of things. And so that was definitely an eye-opener that there was a lot more that needed to be done. And so I think that only fuelled our focus on disability. So it's mad to think that that's when Aaron started as an intern.
Yeah, September.
So he was just interning for 6 months after he'd come back from travelling in Europe.
Wouldn't say boot or goose.
Yeah, and just came in and kind of almost was a bit of a PA really, wasn't he? And kind of, you know, doing bits and pieces. And now if we fast forward, so to January of this year, and we moved into Crownford House.
No, 1st of February we moved into it.
Okay, but we had decided in January we were going to move here.
Yeah.
So we came from Swansea to Merthyr, and being a Mountain Ash girl, I'm literally over the hill, one valley over. But not for 1 minute did we think that this would take off to the point at which it is now. So we had Aaron in January and us, and we were in
one hell of a big office.
We were in the big office, which I'm sure people will see on other videos throughout launch week. So there was me and you in there, and we said, how on earth are we going to afford to manage to keep this?
And fill it.
Yeah. Fast forward to March, so we took on Russ.
Yeah.
So Russ, our head of pastoral care, looking after all the staff that we now have that live with lifelong conditions and disabilities. And I think that was something we were committed to from day one, wasn't it? That we were going to build a model of employability that showed other businesses how to employ disabled people and still make it work on a productivity level.
Yeah, but it's not just how you go and employ and you look after them, it's more a case of it's what strengths and skills that those persons can bring. And we're sat here now, we've moved from one office to 4.
4 offices.
So we've taken over the whole of the first floor.
Yeah.
We've got 13 staff now. 14 staff.
Yeah.
Of which 75% have got a disability.
Yeah, or lifelong condition. Yeah.
4 never had a job before.
Yeah.
And you just look at what they're producing and how, Legacy is what it is now is because of the team that's behind us, that sits with us.
Yeah.
And it's what they bring, their individual quirkiness, because it certainly is quirky.
Quirky as, which I'm sure people will see other videos of different people within the team.
I just want to know, are we actually in a lunchtime video, so you can see how quirky that the whole
I
place
don't think
does
anybody
become.
else wants to see what lunchtime looks like in the training room.
But
I think it amazes me that the bit that I'm really proud of is the fact that we have a team of staff who live with disabilities, who push past their barriers on a daily basis. We have an amazing support team now that support them, give them all of the help that they need to be the best that they can be. But I think the bit that I'm really proud of is that not a single one of our staff has a token job. We haven't got little Jeff pushing trolleys round because that's about his limitation. We're looking at what these guys have inside of them that's their passion, and look at the way that they're excelling. I think that's what I'm proud of, is the fact that they hold down real jobs every day and contribute.
I know over the week now coming, the different elements will be highlighted properly, but you look, right, concept we had with Best, third sector, back office, freelance,
so the support system.
Was an idea, we looked at it, but again, there was so many projects going on, it was one set on the shelf.
We didn't have time to develop it.
Aaron picked it up.
And then Aaron asked if he could develop it, and here we are. And Aaron's got a neuromuscular condition, he's got autism, hypermobility, and yet he's managed to build a project that otherwise would have been put on the shelf.
No, but it's also somebody who's never worked before, the way he's engaged with professionals like Ross, Judith, John, etc.
He can hold his own.
Yeah, he holds his own. They don't think of, hang on a minute, he was like the intern 12 months ago, sort of thing like that, just learning something. You then, let's have a look. Nathan, I've been really proud of with what he's done in the way of creating his identity of Legacy Sports. And that's slowly coming together, and it'll be going out to market now shortly. And when you think of one of the national organisations that we deal with, turned around and said what he's created is better.
It's better than ours.
And they've got like somebody that's been in the role 20 years designing something.
And I think we always forget that Nathan is 16. Most of the others are 18 plus, and Nathan is just 16, and yet he's building and managing a whole project, applying for funding, working with big partners that even you or I would feel slightly intimidated to work with, and just taking it in his stride. But I think that's because he's got the support team around him to give him that confidence, to help him structure the way that he's working.
Yeah. And the thing is, we know that if we do things in small steps with, I'd say kids, boys, whatever, because of I'm slightly older.
Yeah.
Old enough to be the
a lot
father.
older than me.
But
senior member.
We've done it in a very, not so much a wrap round sort of scenario, but we've done it in
Well, it's
a
the
way
holistic approach, isn't it?
And
Yeah.
that's Russ. That's
Yeah.
not us.
No, that's Russ's skills, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
But so look,
we've come a long way.
yeah, but you think Rich is now, he always dreamt of being a graphic designer, never worked, never had an opportunity. So again, come in, have a look, see what you can do, see if you fit in, if you feel comfortable. Like, talk about somebody that came in very quiet, like they all came in very quiet, to be fair.
Yeah, and now look at them.
Yeah.
Look at the noise they can make between them.
And talk about noise, let's talk about Henry.
I'm sure Henry is probably the one member of staff that through social media a lot of people will start to get to know as Roman Henry.
Yeah,
and he's got a lot of
week,
stuff that he's going to be doing, which will be fun.
But then
one different person.
Let's look at
from the time it started.
interns we've brought in, right? And I think one of there's been, especially over the last sort of, say month or so. I should have brought a tea. I'd be crying now.
No, don't cry.
Brought a hanky. No, but in the last month, you look at the amount of positive feedback, comments we've had about what we're doing with interns.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm really proud of what we're doing with Go Wales. You look at USW, who we've got some real good links and relationships with now. They've created this sort of ethos throughout their courses where the students are actually learning real life skills as well as their degree, which a lot of universities could learn from.
Yeah, as a USW alumni, I
I
can't
know,
got a single
listen,
bad thing to say, because they
I'm-
are they're people-driven, community-focused, entrepreneurial university, and it shows.
I'll put this on film now. I think for what we're doing and the feedback we're getting, I'll get my honorary degree from USW. That's on film.
Yeah, and
Thank you, Jonathan.
I want my PhD place, so we're pushing our way there now, are we?
But when Jonathan's turned round to their board and said, do you know what, if everybody was like Legacy, what they do for the interns, it'd be a much better place.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just purely because we want to help, we want to embrace, we want to try and nurture and mentor, but more importantly, and it's whether anybody comes in to see if they come and work for us properly or come in as an internship, the first question we come out with is, what do you want?
Yeah, what do you want to do? What are you passionate about? What makes you tick? And then they go,
yeah, and what that is literally the first question.
Never been to an interview like that before.
No, and it's a case of what would be your dream project if you were to come on board with us.
And boy, we had some interesting ones, haven't we?
Oh, definitely.
So currently with Lee working on the characters within literature that were representative of disability or long-term health conditions. What company do you know would action that over a 10-week plan?
I know,
We don't take anything, we'll do whatever.
I know, but anybody that knows me would think Leighton and literature just don't go together.
Classic literature. It's a bit of a push.
But
So
no.
I'm sure we probably should wrap this up because we could talk all day.
No,
let's not turn this into a 4-hour coffee.
Okay, right. So,
Yeah.
here's a question for you then.
Oh, put me on the spot. Go on.
I'm sure it'll be the same answer as mine.
No pressure.
What?
It's like Mr. and Mrs. now of the workplace.
I know. What is the proudest moment so far regards to what we've done with Legacy?
Oh, that's a really hard question. You should have given me some prep time on that one. What's my proudest moment? See, for me, I think, I don't know, I suppose I could change my answer every 10 minutes. But for me, walking into that office, and somebody said to me yesterday, you know, your staff have time to do gaming afternoons. And I'm like, yeah, because they work you back. And I want to come work for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's the fact that our staff are thriving. They're in proper employment, so they're actually contributing to the company. They're not just sat in the corner pushing computer buttons, doing meaningless tasks.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what I do now, because I don't have staff that I don't need to do anything meaningful anymore. I wish. For me, it's seeing a room full of staff that love coming to work, that take ownership of their jobs, will admit their mistakes because they're not afraid to fail in this environment.
No, but it's also because there's no I in team. We've got the open door policy that they know that they can just come and chat if they've got an issue or anything like that.
There isn't a hierarchy in the company.
Christ, no, far from it.
But I think the proudest moment. There isn't a proudest moment so far. I think that I'm just proud of the fact that I walk into work every day knowing that my staff want to be here, knowing that they're thriving, they're excelling. The company's turnover has tripled in the, since we've been here. The sort of, the growth that we've seen is huge. And we've done it all through a model of employing people the way that we employ them. And I think achieving disability confident as a leader, that for me was the moment where knowing that Henry, who was, really struggles with sort of the barriers that autism puts it across his way, he did that single-handedly with a little bit of nudging and support from me on questions he couldn't answer, and he built that himself, and we now are only one of currently 10 disability confident leaders in Wales. But we didn't do it, and some HR person in a department didn't do it. Our team built it.
Yeah.
And that for me is important. That's the ethos of who we are. So that answer is completely different to yours now, isn't it?
No, it's not. Well, no, it's not, because for me it's what we've created in the way of the working environment and how it's very inclusive. Everybody knows that they've got a voice. They don't see us as on this pedestal. You can tell that by the way they take the piss out of me.
Constantly.
Okay? Yeah.
We'll have to bleep that one out.
We'll just put an adult warning at the start. And I've done very well not to swear, so that's pretty good.
You have, I'm impressed.
But and you touched on it. For me, it's that many person, and I was, don't get me wrong, I was one of the first persons to knock disability confident, purely because of when it's just committed.
Yeah, we felt it was a tick box exercise.
Yeah. But then when you get into the depths of it with regards to being an employer and leader, for us to go and achieve that, but also, like you say, it's the team have achieved it, it's not us. I think it's fantastic, but then I suppose also it's the things that we've got in the pipeline now.
Which is what I was going to come on to.
Yeah.
So 2020 for us, I mean, we're already counting down to Christmas. I can't believe it's October. 2020 for us, we've got fingers crossed, we've got a massive national project with one of the biggest disability organisations in the UK launching in April, subject to funding. We're going to be developing our strong ethos around disability.
But equality.
In terms of, so we've got the Equality Network launching, we've got the employability programme, so employing disabled people with the skills that they've got due to their impairments, the way they see and live in this world. The menopause work, so as a CEO who's now going through menopause at a very young age, stereotypically, again, massive eye-opener, and we haven't even touched on that, but I know Mandy's going to be doing some videos on that. But, just the work that we're going to be doing on that, and just being far more proud of the fact that we are disability confident and bringing other organisations into that.
Yeah, but
our Africa projects.
I think, for me, it's also the fact of we put the person at the centre of everything.
Yeah.
And we're not money driven whatsoever. We're legacy.
If we were money driven, we'd have gone a long time ago.
No, exactly. No, but what I mean is that for us, I'd like to think that by the time we come and sell up, that we are for sale. Every business is for sale at the right price.
All staff, all furniture, the whole lot can go at a low price.
No, but sort of like when we say step back
when
from
it's our
the
time
business,
to step back. Yeah.
that
I got a
we've-
PhD to do. Come on, I mean,
Hey, yeah, I got retirement.
I need a brain that actually works while I do a PhD, so it's got to be soon.
But yeah, but no, but it's when we sort of step away and loosen the reins on the business, it's that we've made an impact
Yeah,
and left
totally.
a legacy.
That's everything that
Yeah.
we said we'd do from the start, wasn't
And by then, hopefully, I've got my Welsh cap.
it? Your Welsh cap for wheelchair rugby, and your cap and gown for your honorary degree. There
Exactly.
you go. No, nothing like small goals.
And the knighthood.
Yes, yeah. What
Yeah.
did we say? We were dangerous dreamers, and
Definitely.
boy, are we living up to that reputation.
But yeah, hey, if you don't have a dream, what's the point?
Yeah, there you go.
Mine just tend to be a bit
Yeah, and what do we always say? If it goes wrong, there's always a silver
lining.
lining. So there we go. I think we probably brought everyone up to an idea of where legacy is coming from, where legacy's going. You can obviously see how mad we are, and that kind of sets a precedent for the whole organisation. So there you go.
We're the normal ones.
We are the normal ones who now need a cup of coffee.
But yeah, yeah, fun week ahead.
Fun week ahead, relaunching legacy and everything that it does, so people can really get an idea of the size of what we, of who we are, and sort of all of the remit of everything that we do.
That's
We're
the
not just a disability organisation.
No, they can see like the different arenas now that we're in.
Yep, so there we go.
Fun.
Happy days.